um, collective Quran readings on a regular basis. Also, this is brought to you by Nasrul M, a philanthropic organization that in spreading knowledge and spreading resources, practical resources of food, clothing, and shelter to people domestically in America and in other countries, focusing on the continent of Africa. Also, this is brought to you by Feda Books. It's a publisher of the great Sufi and Tijani texts that have been translated into English. And in fact, the book that we're taking from, the Ruhu Adab, The Spirit of Good Morals, written by Shaykh Ibrahim and Yas, radiallahu an, in 1920. This is published by Fade the Book, so we're benefiting from them. May Allah bless all those who have made an effort in order for us to have these engagements. This text by Shaykh Ibrahim and Yas, the great scholar and Sufi and trainer, Sheikh al-Islam of Senegal, West Africa, and his spiritual teaching and his guidance has spread all over the planet Earth and benefited hundreds of millions of people. And his grandson, Shaykh Hassan Cisse, who was the one to bring the Tariqa Tijaniya to America, is the one who translated this text, the Ruhu Adab text, the translation that we're taking from. And also he notated and gave commentary on the text, which is guiding our discourse. Also, the grandson of Shaykh Ibrahim and Yas, Shaykh Mahy Cisse, may Allah preserve him, who is still here with us, is the one that's generally conducting this class. And I'm only sitting in for him. His mother, Fatu and Yas, radiallahu anha, just recently passed. And so himself and Imam Sheikh Tijani Cisse, his brother, are engaging the many guests and the many people who have come to pay respects to his mother. So I am conducting the class with his permission, by his permission, in his absence. So let us engage the text. Again, the text is called Ruhu Adab, and Ruhu Adab is the spirit of good morals, the spirit of good adab, which is the spirit of the best way to conduct oneself, the spirit of high morality. And its focus is on how the disciple, how the student engages with the sheikh once he embarks upon the spiritual path. That's one dimension of it, but in a larger sense, it is to how to engage your brother and your sister who are also on the path. And in addition to that, it is to how to engage your brother and sister who are not on the path. And beyond that, it is how to engage all of humanity. And beyond that, it is how to engage all of the animals and the inanimate objects. And beyond that, how to engage and interface with the entire universe. So the focus is very specific, but its meanings are very broad. And so we hope in the absence yet presence of Shaykh Mahy, in the absence yet presence of Shaykh Hassan Cisse, radiallahu an, in the absence yet presence of Shaykh Ibrahim and Yas, radiallahu an, we hope to take a little or a lot of benefit. If we can get something, it's great. If we can get a small bit, it's great. Alhamdulillah. And if we can get more, it's only greater. So in whatever capacity Allah has for us, we're going to seek to drink from this well, and hopefully our affair is made better. So this text, which is actually a poem, we're going through, and we left off last time at 21 and 22, lines 21 and 22. But I would actually realize, if I'm not mistaken, I think we may have skipped over the two lines that were before it, because I was picking up for Shaykh Mahy, and I think I skipped a couple lines. So we'll engage line 18 and 19. In line 18 and 19, Sheikh Ibrahim says, as Sheikh Hassan radiallahu anhum translated, for there is nothing for the student other than his wali, his sheikh, meaning Sheikh Ahmed Tijani, alongside with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and surely his Lord Most High. As long as there is other than him in a heart, it will not attain the knowledge of the Master, Allah. This I say with all certainty. That's Sheikh Ibrahim. And then Sheikh Hassan is mentioning and talking about this section of the poem. The disciple should consider the universe and its contents as dead and concentrate only on the direction of his sheikh. And as Sheikh Ibrahim says, his sheikh as a means to Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and as a means to Allah Ta'ala. So this is all one direction. And it's not that one is looking at his sheikh and turning away from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or looking at his sheikh turning away from Allah Ta'ala. It is saying that looking at the sheikh is looking at the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the path of Allah Ta'ala. And the sheikh is the one that's closest in proximity, and the one that the disciple can see visibly with his eyes easily without having necessarily strong faith or any karamat, without a miracle, he can see his sheikh, which is different than, say, seeing the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with your eyes. Indeed, he should offer the prayer of four takbir, normally offered to the dead on the whole of the universe, except his sheikh. Otherwise, there is a tendency for him to continuously gaze here and there, and before he realizes his sheikh is gone, and he will then be lost. And this is Sheikh Hassan speaking about this section. And this can be very challenging. Again, we're talking about death. And last week, we also talked about death. We talked about that the disciple should be in the hands of the sheikh like the dead person in the hands of the washer. And this person is not seeking leadership even over his own self. This person has relinquished leadership, which is one of the most challenging diseases of the heart to let go of, is the desire for leadership. But even if one says, I don't desire leadership, I don't want to be the leader of this organization or a leader of this group or this group or this group, and he or she has removed himself from that, there's still some desire for leadership even over their own selves. Once they relinquish that to Allah, meaning the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, meaning the Sheikh who's guiding them to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Allah, that last handhold of the nafs is very difficult, and the nafs will fight tooth and nail in order to preserve its leadership over itself. But the hard work of the disciple is to relinquish that and give that and die unto that and let the nafs go. And it's easier to understand that when a person understands that they are not a nafs, but they have a nafs. So they are not a self, but they have a self. So I say myself like my car or my house. I am not a house, but I own a house. I'm not a car, but I own a car. That this nafs is something that is owned and such must be maintained and trained. And it is not ourselves. So here we're mentioning death again, and the Sheikh is saying, making a 4 takbirat upon the universe and all of its contents, to say that the whole universe is dead in the eyes of the murid. Let's talk about love, because for myself, all of these concepts, they're very difficult for me to understand intellectually, to really accept intellectually. But when I understand them in the context of love, they become easy. And not only become easy, but they become sweet, even the most challenging of them. And as Shaykh Ibrahim mentioned in the poem, that love is the key. And mashallah, as a murid and as a, young, I'm calling myself a young person. I have a few grays in my beard, but I still feel like a young person in the tariqah. Who's made plenty of mistakes, met plenty of stumbling blocks, fell off and wavered and made many things that needed correction, alhamdulillah. And this is how I've benefited in knowledge, is by making mistakes and being corrected by those mistakes. So also, which is a word of encouragement, if you find yourself making mistakes, even if you find yourself making a mistake once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, even if you find yourself making the same mistake once, twice, 3 times, 20 times, 160 times, don't let that be a means by which the nafs or the shaitan whisper for you to give up. Don't give up. That there is knowledge in obedience and there's knowledge in disobedience, as long as that disobedience returns the servant back to the path. And then they'll return to the path in a greater state than they did before the error. Just as the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, when he is swearing by the one in whose hands is his soul, or swearing by the one in whose hands is the heart of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if you didn't commit sins, that Allah will destroy you and replace you with people who commit sins and repent, so it's that Allah can forgive them. Alhamdulillah. So whatever mistakes, know that Allah created you and what you do. And so everything can be a means of approach to Allah Ta'ala. Everything is a means of approach to Allah Ta'ala. And on the path, there will be stumbling blocks, and you just try your best to recover and recover and recover. And Allah Ta'ala will give you good by way of that. And this has been my own testimony, my own affair with Allah, His Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the Shaykh on the path. Making a 4 takbirat on the universe and all it contains. When someone falls in love, deeply in love, and I certainly hope all of you, whoever is listening, has had the opportunity to fall deeply in love, because this makes it easy to understand. And especially, I hope that you've had your heart broken, because this makes it easy to understand. Because when one loves someone very deeply and then the heart is broken, there's no sweetness in the whole universe. There's no food that's delicious. There's no music that's pleasant to the ear. There's no activity what brings the one joy. It's as if the whole world died and everything in it. There's no good in it. You don't find any good in it because of the distance that you found from your beloved. You've tasted this, then it's easy to understand how you make the 4 takbirat on the universe and everything it contains besides the Shaykh, and turn towards the Shaykh. Also, that the nature of the universe, it becomes easier to understand, because again, how do I, in practical terms, how do I deny all of existence? Some of these things, they sound good, and intrinsically somewhere we know that they're true, that it's right. But sometimes for a murid, it can be difficult. Like, how do I achieve that? How do I not pretend like everything around me is around me? And the Shaykh is the only one that exists. We can also take from looking at the reality of the universe, that the universe is but the speech of Allah Ta'ala, that He said, be, and it is. He said, kun fayakun. And that the universe is just a grand poem. The universe is a grand poem. And even in the language of universe, we have uni, meaning one, and verse, meaning poem. And not only that, in the English language do we have that, but also when Allah Ta'ala describes the universe, He describes it as something spoken. Before He fashions anything with His hands, like He fashioned Adam, He describes it as any other thing. He describes it as something that was spoken. And after it was spoken, the next manifestation is it was written. So it says kun fayakun. He creates. Once He creates by way of His speech, because Allah doesn't say He poured the universe into existence. Allah didn't say He built the universe or fashioned it out of some material like He fashioned Adam alayhi salam, that He spoke it. And then what does He create? After the light of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is key, but after the light of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He creates a pen out of all things. He doesn't create the sun, the moon, the stars. He doesn't create time or space. He doesn't create matter. He doesn't create any of, the first thing He creates is the pen. And then what's after that? He creates the pen, then He creates a pad, the tablet, something to write on. So the spoken word and then the written word are the means, the divine means of creation. When we have the spoken word and we have the written word, it's a divine means of bringing things from non-existence into existence. And there's a lot to say on this, but because this is a particular interest to me, because I'm a poet myself, and so, um, but I want to be concise, and I don't want to meander too far away. But we're gonna go just a little in the direction, but please, this is all related. For myself, I'm a storyteller. I write for film, I write for television, I write poetry, I write songs, right? And when I'm writing a story, say I'm writing a film right now, when I'm writing a story, I have a main character. The main character is going to go through some event, learn something, be something, have some opponents, whatever. It's going to have a journey, essentially. This one is going to have a journey. Now, the whole story is based around the main character. Now, for the sake of the story, the main character, I may make a mother for the main character and a father for the main character. In some stories, there's not a mother and a father. Let's say, for example, we take the story like Batman, for example. The mother and father is important because they die. And this is part of what makes Batman, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Batman. Anyway, we have the main character, and then I create other characters around it in order to demonstrate the story. So I'll create a villain. I'll create a world. Does this one live in the city or in the jungle or in a village or in the future or in the past? Does this one have a car? Does he walk? What kind of clothes does he wear? So on and so forth. I make all these decisions, but all the decisions are based around the main character and his journey. That's the only reason the other things exist. So if it wasn't for this main character, I wouldn't create this woman who's the mother of the main character, because the story's not about her. She only exists because this main character exists. I would not have created the father for this main character. That one only exists because the main character exists. I wouldn't create the tie that the main character uses, or the shoes that he wears, or the car that he drives in, because the story's not about them. It's about him and the car and the shoes and the tie and the city he lives in and the sun that shines in the scenes and the rain that falls in the scenes. All of that I'm writing, that it only exists in order because of the main character. That's the only reason it exists. If it wasn't for the main character, literally it would cease to exist. So now I have a whole story. I have a whole story and a whole story world that I've written on my computer. And it's a world, and it has this, and it has that, and it has different characters and different events and time and space and the future and the past and all of that. Number one, when I'm creating this character, I'm creating a personality type. And when I create that personality type, and I promise this is all dealing with Ruhu Adab. I know it sounds like like I'm deviating off of the subject, but just please stick with me only for 2 more minutes, inshallah. I'm creating a personality. Basically, I'm creating a nafs, a type of person that has strengths, weaknesses, fears, hopes, dreams, whatever. And then I create trials and tribulations that challenge those beliefs that he has. And this is the essence of all stories. It's how any story that you watch, whether it's a movie, a book, a film, whatever, this is the main ingredients of what makes a story a story. So I create this nafs in this world. The relationship between this world and me is incomparable. Meaning, if I inspired one of the characters to understand that it was written by me. I have a story that I'm writing right now called Wake, and the main character's name is Yusuf. If Yusuf realized, and he wouldn't realize by himself because he doesn't have any power or might except what I give him. And I write, Yusuf realizes that he is written by Amir, that he is created by Amir. And Yusuf says to another character whose name is Meth, he says, Meth, we're created by Amir. And Meth says, who is Amir? Well, show me, where's Amir? Who is this Amir that you're speaking of? Says, Amir is the one who created this whole world, the place that we're standing, us, our thoughts, everything here. Amir created all of this. He said, show me this Amir. Build me a ladder so I can reach up to where this Amir is. He says, Amir is transcendent. He's transcendent. He is beyond us, totally, radically beyond us. And if he wanted to destroy us, with one click of the button, I could wipe their whole world away. All the fears, all the hopes, and every character, every one of them, I could wipe them away with one delete button. I could take the file that their whole world is written in, drag it in the trash, and the whole world would cease to exist. Would cease to exist. And the other people in the story, because I have not revealed unto them the truth of myself, they don't know that they're only there because of Yusuf. Yusuf is the reason that I wrote the story. And the only reason he has a friend or a mother or a father or an enemy or a dog or a car or a house or a city to live in or a street to walk down or fears or hope or anything is because of Yusuf. If it was not for Yusuf, I would not have created any of them. All of their existence is contingent upon Yusuf. And some of them, by way of me inspiring them, meaning writing into their nafs, writing into their character, this one knows that they are written by Amir, but they say, where is Amir? But how would they know that Amir is all around them? They are only existing in myself. Where am I not in that story? Where am I not? I'm everywhere, yet I can't be seen. Someone could, I could make one of the characters point at a tree. Say, Amir created that. Yeah, but where's Amir? How did he create it? Where's Amir? Saying by looking at that tree, you could see Amir if you could only understand. You would see Amir if you could only understand, but you can't understand. But that one will be telling the truth, and the other one would be blinded from that. And how is he blinded? Because I caused him to be blind. I have not given him sight. I did not write it into the story. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that this whole world is cursed and everything in it, except for the remembrance of Allah and what leads to it. And what is a shaykh except for what leads to the remembrance of Allah Ta'ala. So that there's no good in the whole world except the remembrance of Allah. And who reminds you of Allah? The shaykh. And who reminds the creation of Allah? Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And who reminds everything of Allah except for himself. So the truth of the story that I'm writing is that the only reason you exist is because Yusuf exists. Likewise, for us, the only reason we exist is because Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam exists. This whole universe is the poem of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's a love poem. And it's a love poem. We don't exist except that he created Sayyidina Muhammad and then create a narrative of Sayyidina Muhammad. So Sayyidina Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is not just this 63-year period. That's a tiny minority of his existence, coming from before the pen and the throne and the tablet, all the way into the day of judgment and whatever is beyond that. This is the story of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His story is not finished until he is holding the standard of hamd, the standard of praise on the day of judgment. His story isn't finished except when he is prostrating to Allah Ta'ala with a prostration and the dua that has never been heard or mentioned before, where he's asking Allah on our behalf. Our story doesn't finish until he is standing at his story is not finished until he is standing at the fountain with his believing lovers. May Allah make us amongst them. And his story didn't begin except before Mecca, before the Kaaba, before Adam, before the dunya, before the jinn, before the angels, before the throne. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the light of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was the first of the kun. The kun is just Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what Allah said. This is what Allah brought into existence. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what he brought into existence. And so the journey of Sayyidina Muhammad, the story of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is from the very, very beginning to the very end of Allah's creative process. Allah's creative process. What Allah, as the creator, what he did is created Muhammad, and this is the through line to the whole story to the end. And we are just a part of the story of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we would like to be relevant, we need to close the distance between us and Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is how we matter. This is how we matter. Our proximity to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we can be co-stars, if we can be excellent supporting characters to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is how we grow in excellence and honor and dignity and existence. This is the way that we exist, is by loving Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So once you understand this about the universe, just like the people in the screenplay that I'm writing would understand the reality of the screenplay, meaning it's easy to make 4 takbirat on it because it doesn't exist anyway. It doesn't exist anyway. The universe has already been dead. And the only thing that's existing is Allah Ta'ala. And by way of Allah Ta'ala, Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And by way of Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you're Shaykh. So you looking here and there for what? None of it exists. All that exists is the one who reveals the truth of the reality of this world. Just like in my story, this character that I inspired to know and to teach them about me, that I'm the author of this story, and none of this actually exists in reality. None of it exists. There's not an actual city or an actual sidewalk or an actual people or actual clothing. This is just things in my mind that I'm writing down in words. It doesn't actually exist. And if they know that, then if there was someone in that world that I inspired to know the truth, saying this one is the only one that is actually existing because he's connected with the reality, meaning he's connected with Amir in this context of what I'm talking about. He's connected with the creator of that world. He's connected with Amir. So everyone should turn their face towards him because he's the one in this immaterial world, in this imaginary world that is pointing towards the truth, be towards someone that actually exists. Likewise, in this world of ours, in this dunya of ours, none of it is even existing. None of it is even existing. So therefore, turn your face to the one that exists. And this is your Shaykh. How does he exist? It's because he's calling you to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's the one who is actually what is creation. Rahmatul Alameen. What is the actual mercy of God? Not just the merciful one, but the actual mercy of God, the mercy of God himself. This is who is existing. And beyond that, Allah Ta'ala, La ilaha illallah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, is the only one that's actually existing and actually doing. So turning your face towards your Shaykh, towards Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, towards Allah Ta'ala is the only thing worth your eyes. It's the only thing worth your ears. It's the only thing worth your wealth. It's the only thing worth your actions. It's the only thing worth your thoughts. It's the only one worth standing up for, sitting down for, moving forward for, stepping back for. The only one willing to fight for or to make love for. The whole reason for existence is in this. Once that becomes clear in the heart, then it becomes easy to make janazah on the rest of creation because this stuff doesn't even exist. This doesn't even exist. This doesn't even exist. And then once you fall in love, then you know for sure, not just from an intellectual exercise, but you know in your heart, there's nothing good in this whole world. I have no hope in my works and deeds. My hope is that I was chosen by the chosen, whom they call an orphan bastard. I call my liege lord and master. Only the dead call him dead. For the living, he's living. And the living know this from what they witnessed from wisdom. But for the lovers, it is not from what they witnessed from wisdom. For the lovers is because they are alive and they are with them. But for the true and living, it is not because they are alive and they are with him. For the true and living, it is because they have seen him. While asleep in their dreams, while awake in their visions. O perfected jewel, O blessed seal, by God, I have found no beauty in the whole of this wretched life, except what I found reflected by your light. O perfected jewel, O blessed seal, by God, I have found no beauty in the whole of this wretched life, except what I found reflected by your light. On that fateful night, you went past the furthest lote tree and returned to us with the lote seed that we plant in a garden in between. Takbir, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Salatu Ibrahim and Taslim, Taha, Hamim, Kaf, Noon, Yasin. What has the eye seen that the pen can't mention? And what can make a blind man a man of true vision? And all of this are just actions refracted. Every holy site, every masjid, every saintly pole, every access only exists to give us access to your matchless beauty that bewilders the minds of the masters, that throw the lovers into a fit of passion, and to the average consider it blasphemous, but give them 100 lashes, and each drop of blood is a poem and a passage to the Lord of Beni Hashem. Burn them at the stake, and each of the ashes are a poem and a passage for the master of all masters. O perfected jewel, O blessed seal, by God, I have found no beauty in the whole of this wretched life, except what I found reflected by your light. O perfected jewel, O blessed seal, by God, I have found no beauty in the whole of this wretched life, except what I found reflected by your light. For you are the sun at noon. You are the calf in the noon. You are the Bah in the seen and unseen. You are a shoreless sea. You are a nightless day. You are the meaning of being with the angels, we pray. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih lima uglika wa khatim lima سبق نصر حق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك مستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. Alhamdulillah. So let's revisit the words of Sheikh Ibrahim bin Yas, Sheikh al-Islam Ibrahim in Yas radiallahu an, where he says, for there's nothing for the student other than his saint, Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, along with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and surely his Lord the Most High. As long as there is other than him in a heart, it will not attain the knowledge of the Master Allah. This I say with all certainty. And this is how the Shaykh can say it with all certainty, because the Shaykh knows, as all of the Arifin, all of the knowers of Allah know, that nothing else is existing besides Allah Ta'ala. And the only things that come closer to existence are the things that grow in proximity and point towards Allah Ta'ala. And that's the only way that we can exist. So how does the saint even exist? How does the Shaykh even exist? Why does the Shaykh exist? Because he's turned totally to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Totally, without leaving any part for falsehood. Turned totally to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why is Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam existing? Because he's pointed totally towards the haqq, towards reality, towards the truth, totally, without leaving off anything. He's a sun at noon, leaving no shadow. Pointed totally, committed totally to the haqq. That's how he has haqq. And then the Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, radiallahu an, is pointed totally towards the one who is pointed towards the haqq. And this is how he has his haqq. And your Shaykh Mahy Cisse, your Imam Shaykh Tijani Cisse, your Shaykh, who is a true Shaykh, he's pointed totally, leaving off nothing, to the Shaykh. So if you would like to exist, and this is what it is to have adab with all of existence. This is about the path, but you see, it's about all of existence. How am I engaging with the whole universe? How am I engaging with the whole universe? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It's finished, it's dead. That's my adab with the universe. It doesn't exist. In truth, it doesn't exist. In truth, it doesn't exist. Even if I want it to exist, it doesn't exist. So now, what do? I point myself totally towards the Shaykh. Now, me, Amir, a person, individual, I have this, and then I forget. And then I remember, and then I forget. And then I remember, and then I forget. But you keep working this muscle, even if you forget, remember. Even if you forget, remember. And this is the importance, as the Shaykh mentioned earlier, of keeping up the daily wird, of keeping up the daily litany, keeping up the wazifa, keeping up the salah, because if you stray after dhuhr, you can find yourself for asr. If you stray after asr, you can find yourself for maghrib. If you stray after the morning wird, you can find yourself for the find the truth in the afternoon wird. If you stray after that, you find yourself wazifa. So you create a lifestyle where you are being reminded and you can recalibrate and understand. Because if not, you would look around and you'll think all this exists. You could mess around and think that you exist. You could mess around and really think that you exist. It's a very seductive illusion. You look around and you go outside and you think, oh, all this exists. No, I wrote my story like that too. The people in my story that I wrote, all of them think all of this exists. That the danger exists, the rewards exist, the good days exist, the bad days exist, their fears exist. I write their fears. My main character, his mother died. I wrote his mother to die. I made that. His mother, nor his mother's death is real. I made that up. Why did I make that up? Because I have a story to tell about this person whose mother died. We don't see the mother die in the story. I just made it up. Just like this, with a stroke of my pen, with a few keystrokes, I created that reality in him. They think their fears are real. They think their hopes are real. They think this is real. They think that is real. Likewise, it's easy to think this is real. That's real. Oh, my fear is real. Oh, I'm scared about this. Oh, poverty this, or oh, danger that. Or no, la hawla wa la quwwata illa. There's no power or might except with Allah Ta'ala. La ilaha illallah. There's nothing worthy of worship, worthy of thoughts, words, or action. There is nothing existing in haqq besides Allah Ta'ala. Nothing existing in truth besides Allah. And this is the truth of the matter. Alhamdulillah. We'll stop here from these two lines of the Ruh Adab, for there's nothing for the student other than this saint, Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, along with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and surely his Lord the Most High. As long as there is other than him in a heart, it will not attain the knowledge of the Master Allah. This I say with all certainty. Alhamdulillah. And we'll stop there. Oh, before we stop there, I want to just read what Sheikh Hassan is saying after these lines. Radiallahu anhu. Shaykh Ahmed Tijani is the seal of the head of all awliya, of all the saints, and therefore the closest door to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The disciple who takes the tariqah is guided by his local sheikh from one position to another, like a traveler that passes from one toll gate to another. If the murid is steadfast, he passes these gates until he meets his excellent and significant sheikh, Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, magnificent sheikh, Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, who then takes him through a final journey to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When he gets to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he has gotten to Allah. And his sheikh will then say to him, here you are, and this is your Lord. He then is opened to the reality of things. Indeed, Allah is great. There is none except Allah. There's none save Allah. For complete submission of oneself to the sheikh implies also submitting to him your important affairs. Alhamdulillah. Whether it is happiness, fear, or grief, just as Allah punishes a community for the wrong done by a few of them, so does he pour his mercy on a community for the sake of the righteous servants, for whom he promised neither fear nor grief. That is why in Jawharatul Ma'ani, Sheikh advises the student or disciples thus: and run to him, your sheikh, in important affairs, for indeed you shall meet with success at that immediate time. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. We can't be grateful enough that we have a means by which to arrive at the truth, arrive at existence, arrive at reality. Alhamdulillah. I'll pause here if there's any corrections or comments or anything. By Allah, whatever good that you hear from me, for sure it is from Allah Ta'ala, and the barakah of the Shaykh and the barakah of permission, wallahi. And any mistakes are surely mine due to my ignorance or my distraction from the truth. So please forgive me for that. But if there are any questions or comments or corrections, I'm open to receive them. And if not, then we'll close. So I'll just pause for 30 seconds or so and see if there's any questions, comments, or corrections. Okay, alhamdulillah. So again, we would like to extend our gratitude to the Roho Adab group. And you can join the, Samiha, if you could just remind me how to invite the people to the group, or Bilal. The Roho Adab group, which you can join if you like, the WhatsApp group, which you can join if you like, and you can find them on Facebook. Again, Roho Adab group on Facebook and on YouTube, or you can, I guess many of you are watching on YouTube. If not, you're watching on Zoom. Also, Fader Books. So please go to faderbooks.com so that you can get the Ruh Adab if you don't have it, and also that you can benefit from the great other work that they're doing in translating and publishing the important texts of the Tariqa Tijaniyah. Also, besides that, we have Nasrul Ilm, which is doing the great philanthropic work in America and on the continent of Africa. and there is plenty to do with that for you to donate your time or your money or any resources that you have to help people in need. Anything from the getting water to the people of Flint, to getting rice to the people of Senegal, getting socks to homeless people. They do a wide array of beneficial and philanthropic work. May Allah bless them and increase them. And they're one of the ones who are facilitating this class that we're having now. And please, also, I would ask all of you to pray for the mother of Shaykh Mahy, Imam Shaykh Tijani Cisse, and Shaykh Hassan Cisse, radiallahu an, Yafatu Zahra Yas, radiallahu anha, uh, the daughter of Sheikh Ibrahim, the daughter of the author of this text that we're benefiting from, an amazing miracle of a woman. May Allah be well pleased with her. And also pray for her family who are dealing with the loss of her presence in this world. But of course, we're still benefiting from her presence even now. And inshallah forever, make Allah always make us beneficiaries of her blessing. And with that, we'll close with Surah Al-Fatiha wa Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق والحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين. الله آمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.